Thank you and welcome back to the 2022 KBRF Radio News Debate. My name is Sarah Duffy and I am your moderator today. Today's debates include candidates for Ottertail County Commissioner Board positions for Districts 2 and 3 and 4. We just heard from District 2 candidates and now we will have our District 3 candidates, concluding today's debate with our District 4 candidates. The Ottertail County Board of Commissioners is comprised of 5 commissioners from 5 districts. District 1 includes the northeast area of the county. District 2 includes the northwest part of the county. District 3 is comprised of the southwest portion of the county, and District 4 is the southeast area of Ottertail County. District 5 includes the city of Fergus Falls. Each commissioner is elected by the people in his or her district and serves a 4-year term. The commissioners are responsible for examining and setting budgets, policies, and numerous other county business. As I just mentioned, our second debate here will be candidates from District 3. We will then hear from District 4 candidates. Each district is provided 30 minutes for their debate today. District 1 and District 5 are not up for re-election this term. At the outset, I would request that our candidates and everyone in the audience be respectful to one another. If District 2 was any indication, I don't think we're going to have to worry about that today at all. To ensure a fair and objective debate, questions have been sent to all the candidates ahead of today's debate. I will not be taking any questions from the audience today. We will open each debate by providing the candidates with 2 minutes to provide an opening statement. We will then go into our questions. Each candidate will be provided 2 minutes to answer each question. If one of you would like to provide a rebuttal answer to one of the questions, please indicate that by raising your hand, and I will have the ultimate discretion on whether to allow for rebuttal, but if time allows, I will allow you up to 30 seconds for a rebuttal answer. All rebuttals are to be made while affording due respect to your fellow opponent. After our questions, candidates will be provided 2 minutes to provide a closing statement. A 2-card system will be used today indicating the time remaining. We will hold up a yellow card to indicate 60 seconds remaining and a red card to indicate less than 10 seconds remaining. I will enforce the time limits today, so please adhere to these guidelines. Lastly, to be heard by the audience, please know that the microphones only amplify sounds in front of, directly in front of them. So please ensure that the microphone is facing you and directly in front of you and within a reasonable distance while you are speaking into it. Now that I have laid the foundation for the basic procedure for today's debate, we will begin with our District 3 candidates. Our District 3 candidates include our incumbent, Mr. Kurt Mortensen, and Bradley Sundy. I will start with Mr. Mortensen for an opening statement. Commissioner Mortensen.
Thank you. I too want to thank Leighton Broadcasting. I want to thank Dave Bishop for arranging this event. I want to thank the City of Fergus Falls for hosting this event. And thank you, Sarah Duffy, for moderating this event today. And actually, thank you to all participants to make this event happen. Good afternoon. I'm Kurt Mortensen, District 3, Ottertail County Commissioner, elected in 2020. Some background about me. My wife and I, Heidi, live on a farm in rural Underwood. It was a farm that was homesteaded by my great-grandfather in the early 1870s. I graduated from Underwood School. My wife graduated from Hillcrest. We met in college. We returned to this area after I graduated from the University of Minnesota Law School. I worked briefly as a law clerk in Ottertail County for 2 district court judges, and then I soon started as a prosecutor in the Ottertail County Attorney's Office, where I worked for almost 30 years. We have 2 adult children and 3 grandchildren. In 2020, after I retired, I was elected District 3 County Commissioner, providing me an opportunity to serve in a new and a challenging role and in a different type of public service. Redistricting, however, required that I ran again just halfway through my 4-year term. Today, I want to continue to serve the residents of District 3. My training and experience as a prosecutor can now serve to help me advocate to make reasoned decisions for the best interests of District 3 and all residents of Ottertail County. I want to draw from my experience as a commissioner since 2020 and my prior work in the County Attorney's Office to represent District 3, applying values that are relevant to all Ottertail County citizens. I've demonstrated leadership on the County Board, and I look forward to continue the work that I began.
Thank you, Commissioner Mortensen. Mr. Sundy, your opening statement.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here, and thank you to KBRF and all those involved with this. Glad to be able to just share with you. I'm proud to be an American, and as an American, I've been given the freedom to serve you as a common man and not needing anything special. How common am I? I'm a local man. I've been here for 50-plus years. I married my high school sweetheart from Hillcrest 45 years ago. We have four children, 3 sons and a daughter. We have grandchildren. We also have 2 twins to be grandchildren in January. By way of education, I guess I have a BA in pastoral counseling. The rest of my education is by the School of Hard Knocks. Many of you know me as a restorer. I'm the owner of Bradco Restoration. We restore commercial masonry buildings, including Ottertail County Courthouse at this present time. But also my life has consisted of restoration in other areas, including I've restored a few airplanes, I've restored our houses, I've even helped as a pastor to restore lives. So restoration is a calling for me, and it's a very satisfying task to accomplish. I've made the comparison of restoration of my personal life to the county. I believe the county needs some restoration, and if any of you saw us in the parade, we had a boat float that was supposed to be our picture of Ottertail County. It needs some work. It floats, but it needs some work. There's some holes and some cracks to be repaired. The biggest problem I've seen in recent years is the lack of transparency, and I would certainly want to address that when I get the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sundy. Our first question, today we'll have 4 questions again, and our first question will start with Commissioner Mortensen. District 3 represents a number of small towns with populations under 1,000 citizens. Cities like Underwood, Battle Lake, Dalton, Rothsay. Public improvement and infrastructure projects can be challenging with a smaller tax base. What will you do to ensure these areas are well represented in county planning?
Well, firstly, smaller towns play an increasingly important role in our county's growth and need representation on the county board. For this reason, it's important to know the needs that small towns are facing. To know the needs, a commissioner needs to be accessible, he needs to be available, not only to those in leadership positions, but also to any resident who would like to discuss a topic of concern. For this purpose, I've attended city council meetings in Battle Lake, Clitheroe, Vining, Henning, Burbank, Underwood, and Dalton, often by invitation to address a specific issue facing a city. Secondly, this question references infrastructure in small cities, and here I think some examples of where the county has partnered with cities can be helpful to describe the interaction between counties and cities in terms of infrastructure. The county has worked with the city of Dalton to acquire land for 4 affordable senior rental units and lots for single-family homes. The county has also worked with the city of Battle Lake. An example is Hatchery Row. The county was involved in assisting in the acquisition of 2 grants for that project. The county also worked with the city of Battle Lake in the development of market rate rental homes. And I know I'm focusing just on District 3, but that collaboration extends beyond District 3. New York Mills, a 60-unit apartment. Pelican Rapids, Colony Apartments. Ottertail City, a grant for improvement to a business. It's when the county can work side by side with towns that this partnership can benefit both the town and the county as a whole. In summary, the interests of small cities need to be represented, and a commissioner needs to know the needs and respond to those needs. I look forward to continuing my work doing just that.
Thank you, Commissioner Mortensen. Mr. Sundy.
I was raised in a rural small town area, Frost, Minnesota. It's small enough, I'm sure none of you have probably heard of it, down by the Iowa border. But I can identify with these areas. But the number one problem that I've seen overall is people need to be heard, and we can't have out of sight, out of mind. We have to connect, and we have to hear what their needs are to meet those needs. I believe that there's a lot of city-county cooperation that probably is the key to functioning as a county. They need our help, but like Kurt said, they need our help too. They bring so much to us. Small town America is awesome. I love Ottertail County. Ottertail County, as much as we try to sell it to outsiders, it shouldn't take much to sell Ottertail County. Ottertail County is awesome. The people are awesome. The nature is awesome. The environment's awesome. All the 1,000 lakes. I mean, we just returned from Salt Lake City to my son's wedding, which is beautiful, the mountains and everything, but it was good to come home. I love Ottertail County, and we have a lot to sell. As we approach this, we have to understand that one size does not fit all, and that's where we need to hear each other and see how we can dovetail one resource into another and back and forth. We just need openness and working together.
Thank you. Our second question will start with Mr. Sunday. One of the major complaints from residential, recreational, and lake cabin owners is how much they pay in property taxes. I think a few Ottertail County residents had some sticker shock in 2022 when they opened up their property tax statement. What can Ottertail County do to keep property taxes down?
That lovely subject of taxes. They affect all of us and everything we do. They can hurt us and they can help us. We need to know we need money to operate, but we also need to be efficient with that. Those that you mentioned about residential and lakeshore property, how to keep it down, I think the best way to approach property taxes is the way it's been done, and that is it's according to value of property. So if someone can afford a whole $1 million cabin, they should be paying more than the common middle-class wage owner that has a house in town. But the big difference is what is that rate on those values. We just had our visit from the assessor yesterday at our house, so I'm sure that I'm going to have another raise. And taxes, they're a key issue. They're a key issue for businesses wanting to get established. They're a key issue if we don't have enough to have the services that we need, to have the roads, to have the various things in our infrastructure that we require. It takes money. We understand that. But the best way to have that money is to develop jobs and to build the real revenue that way. That's a living and active income. And what I'm convinced of is, besides talking about bringing people into the county, I think we have tremendous resources in our county that can be developed, and those are the best. We've already lost Bobcat. There was, Ottertail Power, of course, goes way back, but these are our people. Even the RTC with the vision that started that. These are our local people that have had that kind of wisdom, that kind of technology, that kind of vision to get those things done. We need to grab those that are here.
Thank you, Mr. Sunday. Commissioner Mortensen.
Thank you. The answer here is twofold. Firstly, growth of our tax base is critical. Doing so spreads out the tax levy to a greater number and reduces the property taxes of everyone from what they would otherwise pay. A rising tide in terms of our tax base serves to benefit all. It dilutes the tax impact on any single taxpayer. And this is exactly what happened in this past year. In 2022, Ottertail County saw an unprecedented increase in our tax base, an increase of over 26%. Certainly, there is an increase in estimated market values of properties throughout this county, but also the entire state and a multi-state region. But this question that you've asked appears to focus on recreational and seasonal property classifications, and I understand the purpose of that question. Lake properties are sought-after properties, and sale prices for lake properties have reached new high. However, despite this increase in this particular classification, we as a county are experiencing a very small shift between classifications, whether they're agriculture, commercial, residential, or seasonal. In other words, there is not a disproportional impact to any one classification. Again, a rising tide benefits all, and it spreads out that tax levy. A second factor in terms of increasing tax base relates to the impact of new construction and its effect on a growing tax base. In 2021, new construction added over $78 million of housing investment for Ottertail County. Lastly, constraint of the county budget works to limit increases in property taxes. For 2023 budget, the county board, because of reasonable restraint of county departments, adopted a proposed tax levy that reflects a 6.61% increase from the prior year. With inflation at 8%, I commend all departments that made this possible. In summary, growing our tax base and maintaining a reasonable county budget works to keep property taxes down.
Thank you, Commissioner Martinson. Our third question will come back to you to answer first. As of July 1, 2022, Minnesotans who are at least 21 years old can lawfully purchase and consume edible and drinkable products containing hemp-derived THC, the primary intoxicant found in cannabis plants. A moratorium on the sale of hemp-derived THC food and beverages, including products with Delta-9 and Delta-8, is being considered by the Ottertail County Board of Commissioners. What is your position on the possible moratorium and the county's role in regulating the sale of these products?
Thank you for that, and much of my response is going to echo the response of Commissioner Johnson, only because we have scheduled a public hearing to address this very topic. It would be inappropriate for a sitting county commissioner to reflect on a decision relating to this issue prior to a public hearing receiving the public comment. We need to know what the public desires on this. I will note that this was legislation that was hastily run through the legislature, and I think there needs to be an opportunity to look at what's in the best interest of our citizens.
Thank you, Commissioner Mortensen. Mr. Sunday.
Well, this wasn't on my list, so I didn't research it, but I concur with what Kurt said. I mean, there needs to be a hearing and to get the voice of the people. It's a sensitive subject. We have a long history of being at odds with cannabis and how these things are handled. Obviously, we don't want to enhance the drug situation, but there's a lot of benefits. And so how this is all regulated and handled is I think the people have the answers. And so I think we'll get there. So I'll side with Kurt.
Thank you, Mr. Sunday. We will come back to you for our fourth and final question. What one part of county government would receive more attention if you were elected?
Sorry, me?
Yep,
Okay.
starting with you.
That's fine. Clearly, the tax base and how we handle that, generate more with good new jobs, as well as regulate and legislate what we do with that money. But as we approach those objectives, we got to have more openness and transparency to hear one another. We're all on the same team, and sometimes it gets to be us against them against us. We're all on the same team. We're all paying the same taxes. We're all paying the same, driving the same roads. We're all experiencing the same things. We need to work together. And with that, the critical services, obviously, they have to be the priority. But other ways to empower our citizens, it hasn't been brought up much, but, senior care, there's a discrepancy between putting people in care facilities or people that want to take care of seniors themselves in their homes, not being able to get certain resources the same. I think that's a area that's, really sensitive that needs to be addressed. And the child care issues, those things, my daughter does child care. We've seen those issues pretty up close and personal. It's not hard to fill your daycare, that's for sure. So, yeah, there's lots of room for work.
Thank you, Mr. Sunday. Commissioner Mortensen?
Thank you. One area of county government that would receive more attention if I were reelected is the issue of public safety. And first, I need to make clear that our law enforcement, both county and city, and our county probation and our Department of Corrections work hard to serve and protect us. We are fortunate for their expertise. What needs more attention is the funding and resourcing so that each of those can do what is necessary to address public safety, and that is where the state of Minnesota needs to do its fair share. Minnesota is a state that favors probationary supervision more than any other state, and yet it funds supervised probation the least. That needs to change, and the state needs to fund its share. As important as it is to fund and resource law enforcement on the front end of our criminal justice system, it is equally important to have resources on the back end of our service to reduce reentry into the criminal justice system. I've worked on a 16-member committee to accomplish that purpose, and I continue to work on that committee to bring about this change. If adopted, this was essentially double the state contribution for reimbursement of eligible probation services. This would have a direct effect on our county level levy dollars spent for this purpose. But equally important, it would provide greater resources to those who need behavioral health services, for those who need addiction treatment to bring about a lifelong change in their lives. To the extent that law enforcement needs to be properly resourced, so too must our probation services be properly resourced, or there's an imbalance in the system. Taking crime seriously requires both ends of our criminal justice to have the resources to do their job. This is one area of focus that I would continue to address and move forward and strive for even improved outcomes, even more improved outcomes in our criminal justice system.
Thank you. Now we will move on to our closing statements. As I said at the outset of the debate, you'll have 2 minutes to provide a closing statement today, and we will start with Mr. Sundy.
Well, thank you. It's been a pleasure to be here today. Thank you for those that are listening and those that are here in person. Thank you, KBRF and Sarah, for hosting this. We've mentioned some issues that need to be addressed in the county here, but I'm still happy to be here. I love Ottertail County. I love to live and work here, and it's going to remain that way. I want to repeat my calling. I am a restorer, and I believe it's a God-given calling. I have a theme verse, 1 Thessalonians 4:11 and 12. To make it your ambition to lead a quiet and godly life, to attend to your own business, to work with your hands, that you may win the respect of outsiders and not be dependent or under obligation to anybody. That is the common man that our forefathers wanted in leadership. I've been tested in each of those areas, sometimes multiple times because I failed a couple times. But I have been tested in those, and I'm uniquely qualified. My name's Brad Sunday. I'm running for District 3 Commissioner. I appreciate your vote.
Thank you, Mr. Sundy. Commissioner Martinson.
Thank you. I want to thank everyone for this opportunity to respond to questions and to provide a forum for further connection with the public. Reaching out and expressing views is central to our representative form of government. In 2020, voters entrusted me to represent their interests as District 3 Commissioner. My decision to continue to serve as District 3 Commissioner is grounded in a desire to further advance Ottertail County forward and positively affect and impact the county's management of services. I desire to extend the work of the county board in maintaining a high quality of living within the county through effective, efficient, and responsible budgeting, economic development, and infrastructure growth. I currently serve on committees that address many of the challenges facing the county that include workforce challenges, housing availability, public safety, and economic growth. I work hard to bring about common sense solutions. I have demonstrated strong leadership on the county board, and I desire to continue to work and move that needle even further to address both today's challenges and today's opportunities. I would be honored to have your continued support on November 8th.
Thank you, Commissioner Martinson. Thank you to both of our District 3 candidates today for a respectful and insightful conversation. We will be back with more of the Ottertail County Commissioners debate with our District 4 candidates on News Talk 1250 KBRF after a word from our sponsors.